Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another gameplay impressions video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair for the PlayStation Vita. This title was given to me by NISAmerica so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my opinions on it. Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair is the sequel to Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. I will be making some comparisons between the two, so if you wish to update yourself on that one, you might want to have a look at my video, which is going to be linked in the description below. In this sequel, the setting of Hope's Peak was replaced by that of a tropical island called Jabberwock. At the start of the title, players are greeted with a very familiar set of circumstances. 16 ultimate students are chosen to attend Hope's Peak, but this quickly changes when Usami appears, a small rabbit character that kinda looks like Monokuma. Usami reveals that everyone is going on a class trip for the purpose of getting to know each other better and making friendships. However, Monokuma eventually shows up, bitch slaps Usami into submission several times, and eventually gives her a Mono makeover, transforming her into Monomi, his little sister. After crashing the party, Monokuma dictates his usual set of rules. If you want to get out of the island, you have to murder someone and get away with it in the class trial that will follow. As per usual, if the murderer is identified, he is brutally slaughtered in some sadistic but also really cool Monokuma way. Whereas if he manages to get away with it, everyone else will get punished instead. This usually just translates to game over from a gameplay standpoint. While this title will do some references to Danganronpa 1, you don't really need to play the first game in order to understand the story. Danganronpa 2 continues the legacy of its predecessor's unique art style, where the characters and scenery give this feel of an anime pop-up book. They are definitely not going for mass appeal with these aesthetics, and this is a very good thing. They built this unique art style and are upgrading it with minor tweaks and improvements in its animations that make this game stand out as opposed to blending in with its competition. In terms of sound work, this title's soundtrack is solid. Each tune will set you in the proper mood for the scene you are playing or the character you're interacting with. You will hear multiple tracks from the original Danganronpa as well as several new ones. Another thing to mention is the quality of the localization voice work, which is also pretty good. And just in case you happen not to like it, you can always switch back to Japanese dialogue if that's your thing.
Don't act like I'm the fucking killer!
Let's talk about gameplay. This title, for those of you unfamiliar with the Danganronpa series, is a murder mystery novel, and a big portion of the gameplay will consist of reading through dialogue to understand the events that are taking place, as well as the characters and their motives. Not all of the dialogue will be voice acted, so if you don't like reading, this is definitely not the game for you. Each chapter is usually divided into 3 parts, each of which with its own variations on gameplay. The first part usually consists of your character being introduced to the events that will take place during that chapter, while also giving you some free time that allows you to explore the island at your leisure and spend some time with other students, which will in turn give you hope shards to exchange for skills that can be used during the class trial. The exploration aspect of the game changed. Whereas the original Danganronpa exploration was done in a 3D environment, this time around they opted for a mix of 2D for map navigation and 3D for specific locations, which I felt was a big improvement. While you can fast travel to any area on the map, there is an incentive to walk there instead in the form of a virtual pet that levels up and evolves the more you walk. Unfortunately, it seems I didn't pay enough attention to my virtual pet, since it evolved into a shitty me, which essentially looks like a walking poop with eyes. Eventually a murder will take place, and this will lead into the investigation portion of the game, which consists of gathering as much evidence of the murder as possible. This is done by examining the murder scene for clues, talking with all the characters to find out their opinions and whereabouts, and investigate all possible scenarios of how it could have happened. Once the investigation is complete, the class trial begins. This consists of a series of minigames where you will have to use the clues you uncovered as truth bullets and truth blades to shoot down and cut down the false arguments of other students, and ultimately determine the student who is guilty of murder. Danganronpa 2 not only added a lot more minigames than the original Danganronpa, but they are also more complex. Newcomers to the series will be frustrated by some of these minigames since the controls didn't really feel that intuitive. Just to give you an idea, I spent over 2 hours in the first class trial. Before I go into my final comments, I should mention that I never really finished the original Danganronpa, but I really enjoyed what I played of it. I also still haven't finished this Danganronpa. I have, however, played for over 8 hours, which is how long it took me to get through the prologue and the first chapter in order to experience most of the aspects of the gameplay. Since I didn't finish the game, I didn't really get to dive into some of the additional game modes that unlock afterwards, such as Magical Girl Miracle Monomi, where you control Monomi and have to fight off waves of cute monsters, Island Mode, which is essentially Danganronpa 2 without any of the killings, so players can just develop friendships and get to know the characters better, and Danganronpa If, which is an alternate storyline of the original title. So how do I feel about Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair? It's a bit of a mixed bag in all honesty. On one hand, the game has an art style that has definitely grown on me since I played the original title, a great soundtrack, interesting and deep characters, and a lot of improvements were made in terms of exploration, the virtual pet thing, and overall the game feels like a very polished product that fans of this series will definitely sink tremendous amounts of hours into and will get a great deal of entertainment out of it. If you are a fan of the original Danganronpa, you are going to love this sequel. I have absolutely no doubt. However, I also feel that this sequel has a higher barrier of entry than its predecessor. As someone who never really played a Japanese novel type video game prior to Danganronpa, I found it fairly easy to get into the rhythm of Trigger Happy Havoc, immerse myself in the storyline, get to know the characters, do the investigation, class trial, the works. I don't really remember ever feeling frustrated throughout the whole experience. This time around, I was frustrated several times throughout my play session of Danganronpa 2 and actually felt the need to take several breaks while recording. One of the first things was the narrative. While it maintains the great humor of Danganronpa, the pace just felt terribly slower than its predecessor. I felt like throughout my experience of the first chapter, I was in control of my character less than 40% of the time. Now this is mostly due to the novel nature of the game, but I think the original title did a better job of it. Even just letting you explore a bit in between some of the dialogues would have been a godsend to make me feel more in control. Instead, I just felt like I was getting pulled from scripted sequence to scripted sequence on a very tight leash. This might actually improve in future chapters, but I haven't played those yet. The other thing was the class trial. I felt the tutorials didn't really do a good job of explaining the minigames, and the complexity of some of these minigames was really overwhelming. The controls weren't the most intuitive thing either. I believe the balance was skewed towards player reflexes over deductive reasoning skills, and I couldn't help but feel that it should have been balanced the other way around. All in all, this is still a great title with a unique art style, great soundtrack, interesting story, lots of humor, and deep characters. It feels like a very polished product, and if you enjoyed the gameplay footage in this video, chances are you'll enjoy this title. However, if the gameplay didn't seem appealing to you, you might want to steer clear of it. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. As per usual, leave me all of your comments and feedback in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Oh, really? What happened to the tough guy who was saying stuff like, I can do it?
Don't mess with me! I'll fucking kill you!